It's the anti-checker.
We will return to your scheduled programming shortly, or we are currently experiencing technical difficulties.
What is going on, guys? Michael J. Crawford, the anti-checker here. Feeling a little rough, but glad to be here. So far, BIRDOPREY is first in the house today. It says that my title is ableist because not everyone can walk. However, as I pointed out to him, the title is a quote from the Bible, so it's not my fault if God hates him. And Dan23 is also here. It says, hey, how you doing, Dan? And it's 1:30 in the afternoon in the UK. Well, it's morning to me, so I say good morning. So, and I know BIRDOPREY said Sunday mornings, and I can only, it's hard to be that inclusive to try and say good morning, afternoon, evening, and yeah. Bird says Thomas is supposed to be here. I wasn't sure if Thomas was going to make it today or not. I know that he's just getting back from his vacation. He might be exhausted, after a long day of travel. I know that when he joined your stream yesterday, Bird, he was in the Seattle airport on a stopover on his way home. So, who knows? I hope to see him, but if not, I certainly understand. Kronos is in the house, says, yay, church time and first. Yes, because since BIRDOPREY doesn't count as an actual person, and Dan didn't say first, I'll let you claim the first. Good to see you. Sovereign versus Borg is in the house this top of the morning. Hey, how you doing, my friend? And, it's funny because normally on Sunday, Sunday is when I'm working, I actually work on Sundays. So normally the reason I started doing this particular live stream is that I would basically do the live stream before work, and just seems like a fun thing to do. However, now that I'm off work, we still go to church on Saturday night generally, although we didn't go last night because I'm taking a friend to church this morning. So, granted, I know somebody during Bird Stream was asking if I was going to stream. I didn't, because I was just hurting too much, and I apologize, guys, but I am not made of steel, so it's been a very, very difficult time, and I'm trying to stay positive. I'm trying to, get my groove back, as it were, but oh boy, it's tough. Corona says working on Sundays is a sin, right? Well, actually, no. And that, funny enough, Kronos, despite the fact that people still fight about that today. And thank you for pointing out the anti-cam is off. Auntie likes to wander around a bit. But the Bible actually addresses that directly. And that was when Jesus healed a person on the Sabbath. And by the way, the Sabbath is actually technically Saturday, not Sunday, but it doesn't matter. Because what happened was Jesus healed this dude. It was the Sabbath. So some people that didn't like Jesus very much decided to try and corner him on breaking God's commandment, which of course says, remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. And to which Jesus's response to this was an interesting one. Like many things in the Bible, it was not a direct yes or no type of answer. It was more or less saying that, hey, first of all, if you have a flock of sheep and one of them got lost on the Sabbath, or one of them fell into a ditch on the Sabbath, you would still pull them out, right? You wouldn't just let them die. And people kind of got to shrug at that because, well, yeah, true. And he then went on to say that the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. And so the idea is that the whole idea of a Sabbath day is a day of rest, a day that you do not work. And so now, most people in the United States in the 21st century go to church on Sunday. And so if Sunday is their Sabbath day, that's perfectly fine. There's nothing about the Sabbath that says it has to be specifically, even though, well, the Jehovah's Witnesses, or it was not the Jehovah's Witnesses, oh gosh, I can't remember I'm having a brain cramp, but there's a couple of churches that would disagree and get very dogmatic on this type of thing. But I consider this a minor issue at best. But the Sabbath, it doesn't really necessarily matter what day of the week you take a day off. What is important is that you take a day off. And that is the main reason I stopped streaming on Saturdays. For a while, I was streaming 7 days a week. And then I kind of realized I need to take one day and not be online. And so that's, so for me, it's Saturday, but it doesn't really matter. Sorry, Cronus, I know that was a ridiculously long-winded answer. Fix the anti-cam, thank you, Bird. Cronus reminds people to switch to live chat. Absolutely. Peter Quinn is in the house this afternoon. Ad Checker, I take it you're feeling run down today. I am, my friend. I am freaking done. I am going to see the orthopedic surgeon tomorrow. I don't know what they're going to tell me as far as scheduling or anything like that. I hope that they will schedule the surgery very, very soon, even though that will be difficult. I just want the pain to be done. I am so freaking done with this. And I need, actually, Bird, I need a little bit of advice from you, BIRDOPREY, because when I'm recovering from the surgery, I'm going to be bedridden for probably a couple of weeks. And obviously, I don't want to live stream from my phone. And so I'm thinking about setting up the computer by my bed downstairs, but I'm trying to figure out like a table that I could put the mouse, keyboard, and a monitor on that would be accessible from my bed. And I do have, well, it's not a hospital bed, it's an adjustable bed, so I can sit up in it without having to put out too much effort. Bird says, hi, Auntie. Good doggy. Kuroga will liberate you soon. Wrong answer. You know that Sassy is a Turtistani spy, right? All you have to do is look at all the antimatter that Sassy produces. Dan says, my nan's religion, she never used to have the TV on a Sunday. Yeah, and a lot of, it's funny because the older generations tend to do that too. Or like my grandma wouldn't watch TV on Sunday. And I know that there are certain Seventh-day Adventists, that's what I was thinking of before. They meet on Saturdays, and they get very pissed off at people because they don't understand the Sabbath from their perspective. Sorry. And Peter is saying hi, and of course, Mr. BIRDOPREY. Well, Peter, you don't have to say hi to BIRDOPREY. He's evil. I'm not sure what religion my nan is. She just goes to a chapel in a small village every Sunday, and other times in the week she goes there for Bible study. Hard to say. I mean, because almost every Christian denomination does some kind of Bible study. If she's going to the chapel on Sunday, then it's obviously not Seventh-day Adventist, but it could be pretty much any other denomination or non-denominational group. Cronus says, interesting choice of shirts. You know what? It's funny because even though you can't see it very well, I would wear this to church. I probably won't today because I am taking a friend, but I would absolutely wear this to church. I have worn this shirt to church. I've worn pretty much every shirt that I have, except for the couple of shirts that I have that have 4-letter words in them to church. And part of that is, while you can't really see the detail of the crowd, this is our church on the screen behind us, but they have 2 services on Sunday morning. So, but this is not a live feed. This is from a couple weeks ago. Anyway, we don't dress formally. Look at the guy playing the guitar there. he is not like this is people just dress however they dress. There are people that go to our church dressed up very nicely in suits and dresses and stuff, and there are people that are like me wearing shorts, t-shirt, they're and so it all just yeah, it all just it's a come as you are kind of church. Um, so yes, good plan. Got to have a day of rest. Absolutely, Peter. Absolutely. Chrono says, "Wow, Checker, you consider this to be work unsubbing." Well, not work in the traditional sense, but just like anything, it can take over your life, and you need to step back every now and then. And that's what the Sabbath day is all about. It's about maintaining a perspective on your life and on your relationship with God. Now, a lot of people, if you don't believe in God, that's fine. But there's no denying that one day a week to set aside for nothing is not a bad thing. Dan says, Jehovah's Witnesses keep asking my nan to change religion, and she will never change religion. Gets to the point of harassment and getting them to stop coming around. Well, the Jehovah's Witnesses and the Mormons, the funny thing about them, now, I don't consider them bad people. Don't get me wrong. I disagree with their theology, but I don't consider them bad people by any stretch. And they are the two churches that are known for going door to door. And we get the Jehovah's Witnesses here every now and then. But quite frankly, if they keep coming by over and over, I'll be completely honest with you. If you tell the Jehovah's Witnesses, please don't come back, then they generally don't. They're not. Now, I'm not saying everyone is like this, but but generally speaking, they are not interested in being confrontational. So that's that's my thoughts anyway. And let's see. First thing you need is a Jeep to lay in. That would be nice, I think. What size is the bed width-wise? Full, queen, king, smaller. It is a king. It's one of those, like I said, it's an adjustable bed. So there's my size. It's like, imagine two adjustable twin beds squished up together. That's what it's basically like. If you've ever seen the commercials with those adjustable beds, that's what it is. So my side and Bridgette's side can adjust independently of each other. And which is very nice, but if I were to do it all over again, I'd probably get a more traditional bed, to be honest. But let's see. I've seen a lot of TV comedy where they have someone walking near the church and fall into a grave. Well, that doesn't seem funny to me. You need a TV dinner stand for mouse, keyboard. I have one in my bedroom PC. Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking about, doing something like that so that I can stream and work on videos from the bed when I'm recovering from the surgery. Evil dictator, mother to Sassy, the notable Mama Prey, son, the notable Mama Prey's son, BIRDOPREY 5. Yes. I wouldn't know how to wear a suit. I'll tell you, It's funny because I currently do not own a nice suit at all. Well, I have a suit, but I don't fit in it because I've gained weight since I got in that suit. I like wearing suits, but I've never had a life to where, and when I say life, I mean my life circumstances has never been such that wearing a suit would make the most sense. I've worked in environments where suits would not be appropriate attire. I've never gone to a formal type of church, and it's kind of funny because I would prefer to wear a suit, but I don't get to. A lot of shops in the and BIRDOPREY puts a link to a height adjustable overbed laptop cart computer. Yeah, I was looking at the link you sent me. Now, the one thing I'm wondering, though, is would that be big enough? I'll have to look and see how wide that extends to see if it'll cover the entire bed. If not, I'll need to do something else. But, I mean, it's a nice design. Is that what you have, Bird, or do you have something different? A lot of shops in the UK used to be open half day on Wednesdays, close around lunchtime, but less and less shops do that. Well, they should. I think they should do stuff. I think businesses, the 24-hour a day business and news cycle type thing, I think needs to end. Let's see. I don't consider them people. What are you talking about, Bird? I see streaming as downtime at work. The main work comes before you slight PC problems. I see streaming as downtime at work. The main work comes before if you slight PC problem. I'm not sure that the end of that sentence. I'm not sure what you're trying to say, Peter. Damn, King is tough. Yeah, I know. That's the problem. Because more and more shops are open on Sunday, and they put a new Sunday bus route down my road. The routers service more places than normal weekday route to get to town. That sucks. Peter says, I disagree with Jeff, my Jehovah's Witness pastor friend, on their blood policy, but I get on with them in many other ways. Yeah, well, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Jehovah's Witnesses, the Kingdom Hall, overall, they're not a bad church, except that they've just got some really jacked up ideas in their theology, and they get extremely dogmatic about some things that just aren't worth getting dogmatic about. However, overall, they're very nice people. They're very loving people and all that. But there's a few things they do that I just can't get on board with. Wesley's in the house. Says good morning. Hey, Wesley. Dan says take an ambulance from my town like 2 hours to get to a big hospital. Wow, that would suck. There's a hospital probably about a half an hour from where I live. I've forgotten how to tie a tie. You know, Kronos, I have not tied a tie in years. I don't know. I don't know if I can do it. Man, my other PC is running slow on a tracker trying to get a link for the big game. The big game? Are you talking about space engineers or are you talking about something else, Peter? I'm not sure what you mean, the big game. Do you realize it's been over a month since you video that was not a live stream or news article? You're right, Slash, and I do realize that, and it's absolutely driving me crazy. And it truly is, because what happens, and this is something I've been talking to my therapist about, I've been trying to work out, is that when I sit down and I try to write, and that's my general process, and my brain, it's hard to describe what the type, what the depression and anxiety from all this does to you, but I can't focus in on what I'm trying to do. It's extraordinarily difficult. And so I can't, I'm sitting there and I've got a blank notepad in front of me and my hands are on the keyboard and I can't get anything going. And it absolutely is driving me nuts. However, I will tell you this, Slash, is that there is a video Mr. Miles has been very diligently working on for a little bit of time now, that will be coming out in a couple of days, that is not a news article nor a live stream. And so that will be coming out in a couple of days. I am going to somehow push myself to get something done. It's just been really, really tough. And that is what you use now? Okay. Well, it definitely works for you, but I don't know how wide it'll go. I'll have to look at the specs on it. Chrono says, wow, it's early. Yeah, it is. Before streaming anti-checker if the PC has problems. Gotcha. They had hospital-like tables on wheels that goes in from the side, but only the really expensive ones, like $700, would hold the weight of a desktop computer. I wouldn't trust the cheap ones. Well, what I was thinking of doing, because I'll put the desktop computer like on the nightstand next to the bed and just have the cables go over to the table with the monitor, keyboard, and mouse. Because, yeah, I don't want to put the computer on one of those things. Plus, if one of those things fell on me after doing surgery, that would be bad. And so, England DG says there's a dancing man on the screen. Okay, I have no idea what you're talking about, England, unless there was somebody on the screen behind me that was dancing and I didn't see. Could you use your laptop to TeamView or remote desktop connect to the main computer? The laptop that I have is a piece of crap, Bird. I could barely get it to stream at all, remember when I was struggling in Oregon. So, no. That's a nice idea, but no, I don't think that's going to work. Take an ambulance for my nan's rural village. They give you like an option of 5 different hospitals you could go to. Wow. Well, there's only one in the town I live in, so I think they would give me a choice of one. Newcastle versus Arsenal anti-tracker football, not gridiron. Well, okay. Well, I don't know what if you're talking about. Oh, that's the big game you're talking about. Gotcha. Okay. Well, first of all, that's not football. That's soccer, and it's not really a sport. It's just calisthenics with a ball. In the UK, they close hospitals. Then they open big ones somewhere that services a larger area, but it may take longer to get to. Yeah. And we do something. I mean, we have hospitals, and then we have medical centers, and then we have clinics, right? And so, a medical center is like one step, depending on where you're at. It varies from state to state, but depending on where you're at, a medical center. Like I generally go to the Murfreesboro Medical Center, which at a glance is almost the size of a hospital. It's a very large building. And they have pretty much everything that you could imagine. I mean, they have radiology, they have surgery, they have all that stuff. But what they don't do is take emergencies. Like the ambulances don't go there. They go to the hospital, which is nearby. And then the clinics are like little mom and pop type shops that are, you'll find them in strip malls or just standalone buildings and stuff. But generally, a typical walk-in clinic is like the size of a typical storefront in a strip mall. And so Wesley says, "Hey, Trigger, what are you talking about today? Suit stores open on Sunday? Your writer's block?" Yes, all of the above. That's pretty much sums it up. Have you considered not writing and just talking? Let Mr. Miles add images to something that makes sense. I have, and here's the thing. I've tried recording a couple of videos that way, and quite frankly, they were complete garbage. So I'm still fighting, and I appreciate the thought there, Bird, but I'm gonna get through this. It's just been so damn difficult, and I can't thank you guys enough for not having abandoned me over all this, because I know it's been a long ass time since I put out a decent video. And I think the one that Mr. Miles is currently editing is going to be a good one. I hope you guys enjoy it. I don't want to spoil it or anything, but it's a fun one. Kronos says, "I'm still here to be a punching bag for your troubles." I appreciate that, Kronos. But what I need right now is not a punching bag, but a skilled surgeon. I don't know if any of you guys are surgeons, but yeah, that's what I honestly need. And I hope that the guy I meet tomorrow fits that bill. Wesley says, "Hey, Trigger, I've always had that writing problem where I just stare at the screen or page. Can I think of anything when I have to get something done?" I know, and that's the thing. And what really drives me crazy is, like, I'll be lying in bed, or me and Mrs. H. will be watching a TV show or whatever, or we'll be at church, and I'll get a great idea for a video, and if I could sit down at the computer right then and there, I could probably hammer it out. But then, it might take a while for them. And Kronos throws $2 in. Thank you so much.
There was lightning right here.
You scared BIRDOPREY, but I appreciate it. It says, "For the tithe." Thank you, Kronos. And of course, if you want a super chat, let me know, my friend. I do truly appreciate it. I like the RDP into it from a laptop idea. Yeah, if my laptop was a little better, that wouldn't be a half bad idea. But I have a couple. I know I can make it work. I just need to find a good table for a keyboard, because I'll tell you, the laptop screen is also, I would be struggling to use it. But I mean, I could do live streams from it, but I wouldn't be able to do anything else. And I know I owe it to you guys to get some freaking work done. I absolutely do. Let's see. I watched Deep Space Nine documentary yesterday. Very cool. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm looking forward to seeing it one of these days. I have a portable DVD player that needs a new charger, but they don't sell separate chargers. Of course not. That would be too easy. Best thing you can do, Dan, is figure out the exact current that charger uses and find a matching charger. The connectors on those little chargers are actually based on the amperage, which means that if you get one that's exactly the same volts and amps, then the connector should be the same. England says, is it on Netflix or something? I want to watch What We Left Behind. I don't believe so. I think you can rent it on Voodoo or buy it, but I don't think that it's on any of the free stream service right now. Well, free meaning, non-premium. I use TeamViewer for remote controlling a tracker, but I can't put files from it on it from it. Gotcha. It's not Soccer Anti-Tracker. How dare you? I'm just messing with you, Peter. Set up a VPN, open VPN or something, and use RDP. Much better remote experience. Wow, you guys are just getting into all the technical stuff. Hamachi, I've actually used Hamachi as another good one for RDP. Easy to set up, free for limited personal use. Yeah, I actually used that. I'm trying to remember why. There was some program that you had to use something like that. And I think it was like to set up, it was like a game or something. And in order to set up a server, you had to use that. Good morning, Tricker. How's your back? Better, I hope. Actually, Eric, this is not a good day, but thank you for the thoughts. I do appreciate it. MC says good morning. Peter says, TeamViewer, you can share files, Tricker, until you have to restart their connection. Yeah, I live opposite the hospital, but the ambulances would go to the bigger one. Well, of course. And if you ever want to play with it, hit me up on Discord. I'll talk to you through. Oh, you're talking about with Peter, yes. Like a surgeon cut for the very first time, yes. I can feel your heartbeat for the very last time. Yeah, I love that song. Pick an appropriate Sunday Super Chat. Ooh, I don't know what an appropriate Sunday Super Chat would be. So I am just going to pick one at random. So we'll do that and that.
I am Lord Reloaded, here to get this entire thing started here for Lord.
You just tripped over something that was so obvious.
There we go. So thank you, Kronos. A lot of people have suggested a Dragon Speak or a recorder when I just talk out my ideas. It's a lot easier for me. Okay, I have to get ready for work. Be right back. All right, Wesley. Yeah, I used to use Dragon a long time ago. But quite frankly, I can type almost as fast as I can talk as through an idea like that. And I've tried I need to do something. No, do not plug in the charger just because it fits. That's a bad idea. All right, Bert. Well, I'm not the expert. I'm just saying, I would say match them up first. I'm not saying just find one that connects and throw it in, because you want to make sure that the numbers match too. But they should match if the numbers match, is my understanding. But I'm not an electrician, so what do I know? You are, even though you suck at it, apparently. I got an 80 gig memory stick from my memory for $6.99. That doesn't sound too bad, although 80 gigs seems like an odd amount. A lot of people apparently get ideas when in the bathtub having a bath. Well, maybe I should do that after church today. Match the voltage, amp, and polarity before seeing if it fits. Fair enough, Bird. I didn't say polarity, but you're right. You can plug in a charger into a USB slot on a DVD player. Apparently, you shouldn't. Okay. What the heck was that? Something fell down. Oh, well. Let's see. Howdy, believers and heathens, says Vile Mike. Hey, Mike, how you doing? BIRDOPREY says, that takes the fun out of it. Oh, you're talking about, matching it up first? Yes. Crota says, let God decide. And Drax is a douche. Well, no, he's just, it's Lore Reloaded he's laughing at, so that's okay. So getting up and down to the other PC, is problematic. I had problems that I needed to go get up and down for. Yeah. And that's the thing, this computer setup that I'm at right now is upstairs. And my bedroom is downstairs, and more importantly, the bathroom is downstairs, which means that I am not going to be able to be up in this room, at least for the short term after the surgery. And so that's why I'm looking at whenever we actually schedule the surgery and have a timetable to work with, then I got to look at, okay, how am I going to get it set up in the bedroom? What do I need to do that? The original 70s Battlestar Galactica, he would speak into the computer and the words would come up on the screen. That is true. And that's where I think the inspiration for Dragon Naturally Speaking came from. Why is douche? What is douche? I have a beard so I can do that, says Kronos. I'm not sure what you're talking about. England says, what sound is made when a water and vinegar truck collide? Oh, douche. Oh, that's bad. Memory 699 trigger. That's less than $10, I think. Yeah, it is. That's not bad. Dang comedians. Yes, absolutely. So it's a sale, Ant Trigger. You want to buy something today, go buy it. Well, I don't need a memory stick, but yeah, so, but thank you. Adjust the polarity of the neutron flow. Yeah, I'll get right on that. Get a stair chair lift. Yeah, sure, Bird. You gonna pay for that? You know how much those things cost? So Wesley says, Andrew, I have a writing disability. I've overcome most of it, and auto spelling helps a lot, but I subconsciously think I can't write. I understand it. Well, I am actually dyslexic. And I'll tell you, and it's no joke. I get really sick of everybody making jokes about dyslexics. However, when I type the word this, if you look at the chat, is how you will see it very commonly. Like anybody that plays Space Engineers with me and stuff, whenever I type the word it ends up looking like that. And that is, you know, that kind of thing, you know, for people like me, and I assume you as well, Wesley, the modern word processing software with autocorrect and all that is such a godsend. It truly is. Now, the only thing I tend to really screw up commonly is like different variants of the same word, like peace and peace. You know, I might get those mixed up. But I don't misspell words as often, although for some reason the autocorrect doesn't always catch when I type the word and for a long time, Wesley, I was the same way. I was like, okay, I can't write. I'm never going to try to write or anything. And then when I went to college, I took some writing courses that were required for my degree, and I found that I had a real knack for it, and I really enjoyed it. So, and so I found that I could write. I just can't spell. So there's a difference. I need a VGA splitter and a long VGA cord and tracker, so I don't need to get up and I can put another PC in the bedroom. Well, if you're using VGA, you need a new computer. Kronos says, I have a beard so I can do this. I have no idea what you're talking about, like Obi-Wan. My memory for any computer stuff. Peter, oh, you're talking about that sale, yes. If your keyboard mouse goes that far, try Chromecast. And Kronos says, I don't get tired of people making fun of dyslexics. You're a jerk. Peter says, I get turned if it too, and checker, I have dyspraxia. Okay. I don't know much about, I assume you by dyspraxia is not I know there's dyslexia, dyscalculia. I've heard the term dyspraxia, but I don't know what it is exactly. Or did you just misspell dyslexia? I don't know. And the same way, sometimes I see it spelt correctly and think that it's wrong. Yeah, the problem with, and depending on the severity of it, like for me, it's a constant. I drive Mrs. Antchicker crazy sometimes asking her to spell words because she'll be like, oh, come on, you can't spell. And she has to stop and think about it. And in fact, and I've told this before, but there was one time we were driving down the street and Mrs. Antchicker looked at the bumper sticker of the car in front of us and started laughing. And I looked at it and I said, well, why does that seem so funny to you? And the bumper sticker just read, Dyslexics of the World Unite. And I was like, why is that hilarious to you? I don't get it. And she didn't realize that I wasn't seeing it correctly. And what it actually said was dyslexics of the world untie. Now, I can take the joke, and I thought it was, but at the same time, moments like that can cut. Yeah, really can. Lots of people, typo. Oh, Bird, you are a typo. BIRDOPREY, God's typo. Chrono says, I'll say, God forgive me. Oh, it's all right. You know what? Here's the thing. We all need to develop a little bit more of a sense of humor and allow people to make fun of us. I don't mind people making fun of dyslexics as long as it's not like truly hate and relentless and just mean. But, you know, everybody gets so triggered nowadays. If people, you know, and you guys know, you guys have made fun of me for everything you could. You called me fat. You made fun of my beard. You made fun of my bad teeth. You made fun of everything about me. I can take it, right? And I'm not going to sit there and go, oh my God, you guys are hurting me. You know, that's not me. You know, like when you watch that Democratic Socialist Convention, holy crap. People get way too sensitive about this kind of stuff. And that will not be me. Even though I'm frustrated and hurting and all that, I'm not going to become that grumpy. Everyone deserves to be made fun of as long as it's fun and not out of spite or hate. Agreed, England. And that's the secret. And that's the problem that a lot of people, a lot of writers don't understand. Don't make jokes in the vein of hate. If you do, you know, it comes across as offensive. You make jokes in the spirit of good fun. And so, and make fun of everybody. Not, you know, there's no group that you can't make fun of. I'm sorry, does not exist. Everybody or nobody. That is the only option. Because as soon as you start saying, well, you can't make fun of this group, well, then it's over. You're all, you know, free speech is dead. You can either make fun of everybody or you cannot make fun of anybody. There, and there, says Stanley. Yes. Oh, man, I suck with there. And two, and two. You know, stuff like that, yeah. Let's see. When taking out a memory card from a Samsung Android smartphone, do you have to go to the settings, click memory card, and then unmount? If you don't, then do that, then could cause damage. If you don't do that, you could cause damage to the content and card. Well, I'll tell you, 99% of the times, every time I've taken a card out of, this is actually a Samsung phone. When I've taken the card, I've never unmounted the card before taking it out, and I've never damaged the files on it. But I know you're supposed to. Bread and beard. Wow, it took me a minute. I hate those two words. Yeah, I never even compared those two specifically, but wow. They look, like looking at the screen, they look identical to me. Have you seen the movie Tombstone? I have not. I've heard it's really, really good, but I have not. Peter says VGA works great, and England says VGA has resolution limits. Yeah, it works great, but it does have some serious resolution limits. Mr. Lundell says, hey, how you doing? Look at this emoji. Stroking the beard? Huh? That's stroking the beard? That doesn't make sense. Someone has to drive Mrs. Auntie up the wall? Well, yeah, I do that. Trust me. Obi-Wan stroked his beard. Did he? I was once a Jedi Knight, same as your father. We should all chip in and buy Antrick or a typing monkey. That would be great. I've never seen a typing monkey, but if you got me a typing monkey, I would have the typing monkey cam right next to the anti-cam. But I'm working. I get double pay on Sundays. If praying helps me medically, I'd ask for the wish thinking. Recently, watch all of TOS in the last 2 episodes. Yeesh. Yeah, well, I'll tell you, TOS unfortunately ended on a whimper. Turnabout Intruder was a horrible episode. A story by Gene Roddenberry, by the way, who after all, 3 years of this wonderful progressive egalitarian society ends the series with a episode that establishes that women are not allowed to be starship captains. Seriously? Kronos says, I'm sorry that I triggered you. You have never triggered me, Kronos. We need more of a whiny Trekker as a character. Oh, why is it that... So you want me to do that now? So let's talk about the things that challenge us, how we can overcome them, work together. Well, right now what challenges me more than anything else is the pain in my back and knees. And how I'm going to overcome it? Hopefully surgery. And Crow says, oh no, please don't mention that Democratic Socialist Convention. The war wounds. Yeah, that was so bad. I think I need to defrag other PC, the media one. It's running so slow. Well, better get on it. When spelling words in my phone, microphone says spanning words. Oh yeah. I don't know why voice recognition on phones is so spotty. It really is. And England says OM. Okay. Chris is in the house, says, hello, Anti-Checker and all. Hey, Chris, I hope things are going well. I assume you're probably playing Space Engineers because that's where I usually see you. England says, ER? Are you talking about the TV show or are you talking about going to the emergency room? SD cards. That reminds me, must uninstall Podbeam. Wow, you guys have some weird stuff that I have never heard of. Neo Normie says, hey, Trigger, Nerdrotic is doing more BS clickbait. I'm unsubbing from him. Also, is the death of Jeffrey Epstein in the new JFK conspiracy? Is the death of Jeffrey Epstein the new JFK conspiracy of this decade? I doubt it, honestly. I think that we haven't not had a really good conspiracy in a while. Although, right now, here's where the conspiracy theories are all lying. It's always with the President of the United States is evil. That's the latest. That's the new JFK conspiracy of the decade. It was Obama's birth certificate. Trump is a racist. That's what it is nowadays. Everybody just wants to make it out that the current sitting president, if it's not the political party that they are affiliated with, is the worst person ever to exist. And, look, Trump is a douche. I'm not going to argue that. And I didn't vote for Trump. However, he is no more evil than any other president, in my humble opinion. He's just a bullheaded douche in his mannerisms. That being said, Obama was an arrogant SOB, but he was not evil. So, people need to stop with this crap. When talking to my phone's microphone and try to spell, sometimes you really have to talk loud for it to come up correctly. Yeah. I was calling Epic Bread. See? Because brain reasons, yes. Dan says, dyspraxia is an actual thing, but I'm not sure what it is. I'm not either. That doesn't look like stroking a beard. No, it doesn't. That's the thing. I mean, it looks like someone going, That's what it looks like to me. Yes, we spell knife with a K, which makes no sense. It should be N-I-F-E. Why is there a K at the beginning of knife? I'll tell you why. It's because it's a conspiracy to ruin the lives of dyslexics. That's what it is. Let's see. And notice I'm actually doing stuff off screen with one hand while talking to you because I'm just that good. I'm making some more coffee. Let's see. VGA is fine for me. I don't need glasses, but I can see a resolution. I can't see resolution above a certain quality. Fair enough. For me, it would drive me crazy. I always thought that Kirk was hilarious letting the femininity come back. Oh, I think William Shatner actually did a good job as the possessed Captain Kirk in that episode, but the story was horrible. That's the thing. And it really undermines 3 years of egalitarianism. That's what pisses me off about it, is that after 3 years of Kirk telling everybody how where I come from, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter if you're a dwarf, like when he's talking to Alexander, it doesn't matter what color you are, it doesn't matter any of that stuff. And then the last episode is, oh yeah, so unfair that women can't be starship commanders. What? Peter says, not when am streaming Anti-Tracker, but I may anyways, if the link works. I'm not sure what you mean there. Podbeam is the podcast app. Oh, okay. We spell gnome with a G. Yes. Why is that? You know? Doesn't make any freaking sense. Let's see. Have you seen Space Above and Beyond? It was fantastic until the last episode where it was just a rushed ending. It would have been good if it had been. I've not seen Space Above and Beyond. I've seen clips of it, but I have not watched the entire run or anything. So I could not give you an honest answer. Do you believe that Epstein is in hell now? Why would I believe? I believe that I am not God's personal judge. So I do not make that call. Oh, nonsense. They demonized Reagan, Clinton, and Bush too, old hat. Well, they did, but not to the... I will tell you, it really got going with... Here's what happened. This is where things kind of fell apart. Is the Clinton impeachment. That's where things went to hell. So, when Clinton was impeached, the Democrats were really butthurt over that, and I don't blame them because the impeachment was wrong. I'm sorry for my conservative friends that think that Clinton was horrible. The impeachment was a freaking witch hunt. It was completely inappropriate to impeach a sitting president because he got a blowjob in the White House. Now, don't get me wrong. I think what Clinton did was horrible. However, it was not an impeachable offense. All right? Not in my opinion. It's not. Impeachment is defined as high crimes and misdemeanors. I do not consider, because technically speaking, he didn't even break the law. Now, fast forward to a couple of years later, and the election of 2000, and the controversy over the hanging chads and all that. For anybody old enough to remember, that was a nightmare. And Bush stole the election, and the Supreme Court gave the election to Bush. So now all the Democrats were thinking that there's this huge right-wing conspiracy, and in fact, Hillary Clinton used the term huge right-wing conspiracy because the Supreme Court was with them and all this. No, the Supreme Court made the only choice they could make when it came to the 2000 election, because unfortunately, Al Gore asked for an illegal recount, and so the Supreme Court had to put a stop to it. And then when, and so that just made things fester out of control to where now the liberals in this country were furious over Bush's election. And so then they spent the next 8 years of Bush's terms trying to say what an idiot he was and talking about how the whole, just all this horrible stuff about George Bush. So when Obama gets in there, all of a sudden the right is now like, okay, you guys have had your fun with Bush, now we're going to rip into this guy. And they just kept escalating. And so starting with Clinton, it just keeps escalating. And with Trump, it's ridiculous listening to some of the crap being said about the man. You would think Trump was literally raping people on the White House lawn on a daily basis based on the way that these commentators and stuff talk about the man. Now, like I said, I'm not defending Trump's mannerisms or his demeanor, but at the same time, I don't think the man is freaking evil. Anyway, that's a long-winded tirade. I'm just as much of a douche as Trump is. Well, Kronos, I don't think that's true because Trump has never given me any money. The conspiracies you mentioned, Anti-Tracker, are BS. Well, I didn't say that they were good conspiracies. Bird says, justice for Jerry. Oh, wait, he got it. Mission accomplished. Wow. Wow, Bird. I don't even know enough about Jerry Epstein to give a crap, to be honest with you. However, I will say this, when I think of him, I think of the Epstein Drive. Carlo, Obama drone attacks, anyone? Don't get me started on that stuff. Everyone will debate what group had it worse. I know, and that's the thing. It's like, can we please stop trying to say, oh, but your group is worse than our group, and this group is worse than that. And you know what? They're freaking politicians. He's on Satan's private island as a servant, not a guest. Wow. Did you watch the Omen trilogy, as Trump's life seems very much life imitating Earth? Well, hopefully not Born of a Jackal, though. I don't see the Omen trilogy as being anything like Donald Trump. I have seen the Omen trilogy, and they're pretty good movies, actually, but no, I don't see that as a parallel to Trump at all. Interesting. Satan's private island, as he's stroking his beard, apparently, because I always thought that was just a guy going, Bye. Anyway, by my many other ways to spell that word, depending on how you use it. Oh, buy and buy. That's, yeah. That's another one. DM Discord anti-checker on dyspraxia. I will check it later, but right now I don't have the energy for Discord. I'm hurting too bad, Peter. Neo says, did you watch any of From Dusk Till Dawn sequels or the PS2 computer game? I never played the game. I did see one. I saw the first sequel. It was absolutely horrible. I've now heard that the second sequel is better. I've never seen the television show. Peter says it's worth a read here. All right, fine, Peter. Man, you're so mean to me. You don't understand how much I'm hurting. But all right, let's see. Oh, it's a coordination disorder. That's right. Okay. So dyspraxia, and is also known as developmental coordination disorder, is a common disorder that affects your movement and coordination. Dyspraxia does not affect your intelligence, but you may make daily life more difficult for you. It can affect your coordination skills, such as tasks requiring balance, playing sports, or learning to drive a car, and your fine motor skills, such as writing or using small objects. So there we go. Does God have trouble with women? That reminds me of an old joke, Kronos, is that there was this unfortunate accident where Bill Clinton, Al Gore, and Hillary Clinton, this is obviously a joke from the 90s, were on an airplane crash. They all ended up in heaven and standing in front of God in judgment. And God says, so, who are you? And Al Gore steps up and says, well, I'm Al Gore. I was Vice President of the United States of America. And God said, wow, that's really impressive. You were a very important person. Come, take a seat on my left. And so Al Gore took a seat. And then he says, and who are you? Well, I'm Bill Clinton, and I was president of these United States of America. And he said, wow, you are even more important. Come and sit at my right side. And so Bill Clinton comes up and sits next to God. And then God says, and gets cut off as Hillary says, yeah, I'm Hillary, and I think you're sitting in my seat. There we go. The link for the football. Football. Oh, I don't want to know about your football crap. Let me see. I don't know what you... let's see. There's the Bird's Jeep. Let's see. So I'm not sure what you mean. I read somewhere that one of the most difficult words to spell was spelling. I never considered spelling, I guess. I don't think it's particularly difficult to spell, but whatever. Hi, Ed Sugar and Peter, Carlo, Dan, Bird, Kronos, Jawag, Mr. Londell, and other lurkers. Hey, Hector, good to see you. The English language is the devil. The English language is horrible, yeah. Hey, Hector, Dan, you evil keyboard. Dan is putting an upside-down question mark in for some reason. Carlos saying hi to Hector. Speaking of stupid spelling, Xerxes is pronounced Xerxes, or Sam Hain is pronounced Sao-Win. Sao-Win? I've never heard that. So in the court case against Epstein is dead, anti-checker. I don't know about the U.S. law for this. I don't know how it works anyways. Well, if a person is dead before they face trial, then the trial is generally canceled. Dan says Star Trek TOS was canceled. That is very true. Star Trek TOS and Enterprise on the animated series are the only Star Treks thus far that have been canceled. He wasn't impeached for the BJs, impeached for lying under oath. I know that, England. I know the details. I'm just saying, but that's what triggered this whole thing. And why, and I think that it was a witch hunt. He was lying over oath about getting a BJ. And it was stupid. The whole thing was freaking stupid. So you're saying that it's wrong of me to judge Epstein thinking that he is in hell? Yes. Because here's the thing. It's okay for you to say, hey, what Epstein did was horrible. That's fine. However, what's not fine is you are not God, and therefore you do not have the right to say he is in heaven or he is in hell. Because the only way you can say, because here's the problem, and this is the common theme with this, and I'm going to go on a little bit of a tirade here, so I apologize for being behind in the chat as it is. But the people get this mistaken idea that because of the severity of someone's crimes that they go to heaven or hell, right? So Epstein, because he did horrible things, is going to hell, while Mother Teresa, because she did great things, is going to heaven. Or BIRDOPREY, because he's a horrible guy, is going to hell, right? That's not how it works. Okay, that is not how it works at all. Read the freaking Bible, all right? Is that the idea is that what you're talking about is something called sin, right? Anytime you do something that is less than perfect, it is sin. Murder is a sin. Lying is a sin. Looking at someone with lustful eyes is a sin. All of that is a sin. And in the eyes of God, according to the Bible, one is no better or worse than the other. Anything other than perfection is not perfection. So the whole thing with atonement and the whole sacrifice of Christ and all that is that sin is off the table as far as you do not go to hell because you killed somebody. You do not go to hell because you're gay. You do not go to hell because you committed some other crime that I can't think of off the top of my head, right? The reason people go to hell is because they reject the atonement. That they don't want, and this is where it comes down to it, they don't want a savior. They don't think they need Jesus, or they don't believe Jesus existed at all. And so because of that, they're like, no, I'll stand on my own, and nobody can stand on their own because nobody has achieved perfection. And therefore, everybody would be condemned if not for the forgiveness of sin. But that's not the end of it right there. So assuming you accept the atonement and that you are forgiven of your sins, so you're not being condemned because of your sins, you are then judged on your works, on the fruit of your labor, on did you make the world a better place or a worse place, and that will determine your status, so to speak, but at least you won't go to hell. Oh, very long-winded story. So you're saying that's wrong. Oh, I already read that. I agree with that said. I agree. It was silly. Yeah, and I appreciate that, England. I know, I understand there were genuine things that, that happened there, but it was a witch hunt. I like the Psalm leaning on everlasting arms, and why is there a P in Psalm? I don't know. That's a good question. Process crime. I'm not sure what you mean there. He got impeached for lying under oath, not the BJ. He had come clean about the BJ, but there had been no crime. He got disbarred too for breaking the law. I know that, Bird, but it was still stupid. Really, the Clinton impeachment is like the Nixon. The crime was the cover-up. You're right. The impeachment of Clinton was not wrong. A high crime misdemeanor is anything that can put you, the common man, in prison. Lying under oath can put you in prison. Yeah, but why was he lying under oath, Mr. Londell? That's the thing. So you had the Republicans zealously trying to nail the guy for having a blowjob. He lied about the blowjob, and that was their opportunity. And I'm sorry, that's stupid. When can we see Telosian Bird back on the screen? I've been thinking about, I want to do an improved version of that. I need to talk to Bird about getting some footage for that. But yes, the Telosian Bird will be back. Lee starting other PC again. Oh, that sucks. Wow, Trump is doing these things. Okay, I'm not sure what you mean. Things ain't going as well as I planned. I'm sorry, Kronos. I wish Trump gave me some money. I would love Trump to give me some money. That would be freaking awesome. German Trekkie's in the house. Welcome, my friend. By the way, I believe, BIRDOPREY, correct me if I'm wrong, but German Trekkie is now an official certified nerd. You can see the list of certified nerds at antitrekker.com. I've dated 2 Jewish women, and Monica Lewinsky was a 2 out of 10 compared to the ballet dancer and judo teacher I dated. I'm not arguing about Monica Lewinsky's relative attractiveness, because definitely not my type. Trump reduced military pensions. He is a douche. I'm not, but you see, if you want to argue about his policies, that's perfectly fine. All right. I have no problem with that whatsoever. However, if you want to say he's evil, I disagree. Your group is better than my group. Oh, crap. Wait. Yeah. One conspiracy theory says singer Paul McCartney once died in a car crash and was replaced with a duplicate. Well, that's a little out there. So, yeah. And Kronos is congratulating Neo Normie for his 2 Jewish women. I don't think he means simultaneously. Everyone has some good ideas. It's about working together. Yes! And you know what, Carlo? That's the sad thing, is that in the modern context, and modern meaning 21st century, it's no longer a thing that people can acknowledge the good things that come from the opposition, right? Back in the 80s, Reagan and Tip O'Neill were arch enemies politically, but they worked together on certain things. Why? Because the common good was more important than their ideologies. That's no longer the case. And by the way, the same you could argue is true of, Carter, of Ford, even Nixon, and honestly, even, the most recent was probably Clinton before the impeachment. I once saw I'm still having trouble loving my enemies. That is the toughest commandment of the Bible, Kronos. It truly is. Because that's something that nobody wants to do. Love your enemies is that's a real challenge. I once saw a video about actor Nicolas Cage and how he looks exactly like this picture of someone who lived a long time ago. Well, Nicolas Cage is a freak, and he's a fun freak. Peter says, I'm very clumsy. I'm sorry to hear that. I am not exactly full of cat's grace myself. All right, I'm going to just read the ones addressed directly to me for a minute because I'm way behind. Wesley says, Andrew, I heard someone said that to get you a typing monkey. You already have Bird and Lore. Well, except Bird and Lore don't live here and type stuff for me, so I need an actual full-time typing monkey. As lots of straight-to-video and DVD movies, there should be reboots of the Trancer and Tremor series. I've not seen any of the direct-to-DVD Tremor movies or Trancer movies, so couldn't speak on them. I have seen the direct-to-DVD Hellraiser movies, and some of those are horrible. Kronos says, I find that hard to believe they all go to heaven. I'm not sure who all are. But they can pursue a case against the Epstein estate, civil case. Yes, absolutely. A civil case. You can't bring criminal charges against the estate, but you can bring civil charges against the estate. That's my understanding of how it works. So, like, if someone commits murder, and then they are subsequently shot by the police, right? So the person who committed murder obviously can't stand trial. There will be no criminal case, period. However, the family of the victim could then sue the estate of that person for wrongful death. And assuming they win, which they probably would in a case like that, they would get a chunk of the estate. The problem is that, well, most people that commit murder aren't independently wealthy. Some shows ended in some ways because they were canceled. That's very true. Let's see. Wow, that was profound to me, says Kronos. I'm not sure what I said that was profound, but I hope that it was helpful. The most surprising names linked with Epstein is Steven Spielberg and Stephen Hawking. Well, I don't know that much about Epstein, so I would have to do some research, and quite frankly, I don't want to. I'll be honest with you. Kronos says, yeah, I have a judgment problem. I need help. That's why we all suck. It's all right. That's what Me Poo is all about. And remember that, guys. please remember Me Poo, because even though it's just a silly play on Me Too, it has a serious and, by the way, biblical message to it. And that is that we are all less than perfect. We are all pieces of crap. That's all I'd be a Me Poo. And so there is absolutely no point in pointing the finger at that person and saying how bad they are, because we are bad people too. But what we can do is say that's a bad idea and talk about why it's a bad idea. And we can make fun of each other as long as it's in the spirit of fun, not in the spirit of hate. And I have no problem with that. You know, when I make fun of any of the people that produce these various abominations like Star Trek Discovery and stuff, I'm making fun of them. I don't seriously hate Kurtzman, but I really hate what he's done to Star Trek. Man, do I hate what he's done to Star Trek. Mixed fabrics and vegetable garden is a sin, or the really weird boiling of lamb in its mother's milk. Yeah, the boiling of a lamb in its mother's milk, I never understood that, but then again, we weren't living 5,000 years ago. Maybe that was a thing back then. As far as mixing fabrics and stuff like that, there are different types of laws in the Old Testament. And some of the laws, by modern standards, don't seem to make a lot of sense. And I don't understand what the point of the mixing fabrics was, but I wasn't alive 5,000 years ago to know what was really going on there. That being said, keep in mind that you need to read the entirety of the Bible, not just the weird stuff from the Old Testament. Because then you get to the New Covenant or New Testament. The fact that though God is no longer giving you a list of do's and don'ts, rather a general idea of where your attitude should be and work from there. And that's something a lot of people miss. And like, for example, that's why, for example, there are Jews and Muslims have a lot of dietary restrictions that Christians just don't have. Why? Because there were all sorts of rules in the Old Testament about what you can and can't eat, right? You can't eat pork. Well, Christians eat pork all the time. Why? Because Christ said, no, it's okay. It's not what goes into your mouth that makes you corrupt. It's what comes out of your mouth, meaning your words. And so your words are more important than what you eat, and how you present yourself to people is more important than what you wear. So it's about attitude in the New Testament. It's about that Christians refer to as grace. I like that Sundays is for religious themed ideas, but there's not enough discussion in today's society. Agreed. Second Fleet says, so basically he's in hell because he was a Satanist. Well, keep in mind that Satanist does not mean someone that worships Satan. Satanist typically is actually an atheistic position. The Church of Satan, the first thing that you will find if you read the Black Bible, the Satanic Bible, is do as thou wilt. Meaning that Satanism is all about worshiping self, not worshiping, the devil. Wouldn't it be more interesting to go to hell and check for the people? No. Because I don't think hell is what a lot of people think hell is. Because most people's imagery of hell comes from frickin' Bugs Bunny cartoons and medieval paintings, right? They don't understand what hell actually is from a biblical perspective. If you read the Bible, hell is referred to as the second death. That basically, after you are judged, if you are condemned, you are cast into the lake of fire. Now, that's where some of the imagery that we get in Bugs Bunny cartoons and stuff comes from, is there's always flame involved, right? However, if you look at what the Bible actually says, and this is not, by the way, a major issue. This is not like a salvation issue. So if you disagree with me, that's perfectly fine. But if you look at what the Bible actually says, it seems pretty apparent that hell is simply your utter destruction, death by fire. And so, no, you don't get to meet all these fun people in hell, because you will be dead, as in destroyed, as in non-existent, as in exactly what atheists believe happens to you when you die anyway. The only difference is they get judged first and then they die. So no, it would not be more interesting to go to hell under any circumstances. And Darren says, good morning. How you doing, Darren? I prefer us being the dreams of the Brahma myself. Makes more sense. Well, okay. I think you're all my dream. Clinton probably got more for the BJ from Lewinsky, more than a BJ from Lewinsky. Let's not kid ourselves. But by allowing the shenanigans to occur, he opened himself up to blackmail, and that warranted impeachment. I'm not going to keep arguing over that. I still don't. I think it was a witch hunt. If Slick hadn't lied about having his tool swapped, oh, jeez. The Paul McCartney imposter. Oh, you into that one, Darren? Yeah, the McCartney before the Abbey Road pick a tricker where he's barefoot. Yeah, I've heard little things on that. I think it's kind of silly, to be honest. Yes, German Trekkie is a certified nerd. Also, Continuum Trek. Thank you, Bird. And let's see. Have you seen the canon conspiracy theory about JFK Jr. being a guy who dresses as his father's at Father Christmas as Trump rallies? No, I have not. Wow, don't insult us too badly. Did I insult you? If I did, I apologize. Andrew, you need more meltdowns. Don't read. They are watching. I don't need more meltdowns. Clinton had a hotline to the Playboy Mansion, but he tended to be attracted to women who look like they just stumbled out of Fuddruckers. Oh, Darren. Hey, I'm a sinner and trigger. No need to punch below the belt. Wow, just wow. No, but, here's the thing. Everybody has sinned. Everybody. Everybody makes mistakes. So, if you could re-edit the Bible, which story would you delete? As I find Sodom and Gomorrah okay until the dad drunk and shagging his daughters. Yeah, that's kind of creepy. However, here's the thing. Neo, it depends on your perspective, on your philosophical and theological perspective. If you believe that the Bible is true, then the fact that that distasteful event is in it doesn't change the relative truth of it. So if you're reading a history text about World War II, there's going to be some horrible things in there about what happened to the Jews in World War II. And you should not remove them just because they're distasteful. And I would say the same thing of the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. So these people who are worshiping Satan aren't Satanists. Yeah, those people are called idiots. Honestly, I don't believe that a single person who is out there, actually talking about worshiping Satan is a believer. Because if they were, then they are functionally retarded. And I'm not saying that in an ironic way. I'm being absolutely serious. Because there's no way that you could worship the guy who is evil, who wants your destruction, and who, quite frankly, you already know loses the ultimate fight. Why would you worship that person? Why not worship the person who wins? So better to be in purgatory then. Well, the purgatory is more of a Catholic concept. And I'll tell you where I think purgatory comes from as a concept is that is where your soul is after death, but before judgment. And so now the Catholics have turned purgatory into this thing that's like, hell light, right? So the idea of purgatory is that you basically, you don't reject Christ, but you're a bad person. You go to purgatory to serve out your sentence, so to speak. However, where purgatory really became a problem is that the Catholic Church then made it so that you could do indulgences, which was a fancy way of saying, pay us money and we'll reduce your time in purgatory. Like they have the authority to do that. And Thomas Potts is here. Good to see you, Thomas. We all have missed you. I hope you had a good trip home. Oh,
Man, there was lightning right here.
And Thomas, you scared bird with your lightning. Says, I'm finally home. Karoga sucks. Number 21. You got it, my friend. And I agree with everything you just said.
Borg. It is with cooking with the pork and the pork. The guy with the cow, and we're gonna make the kelp. Here's bring out the kelp.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, the kelp, I get it in the pot.
Get in the pot here.
And then the weasel stir the kelp. That's a good kelp.
Okay.
And thank you again, Thomas, and welcome home, my friend. I hope that you had a wonderful vacation. I truly do. The Robot Devil in Futurama. I love the Robot Devil in Futurama. Do nerds get preferential treatment in God's eyes? Yes. It was in the Beatitudes, although most of the modern translations change it. The original scripture was, "Blessed are the nerds, for they shall inherit the kingdom of God." However, they changed it to the meek for some reason. And I think what happened was they got it confused with Monty Python, and they were thinking meek instead of me. But, that's really, well, that was... that was bad. It's my understanding that Satanists, those who actually worship Satan, don't believe the Bible's interpretation of their God below. They reverse the roles. Well, I don't know who you're talking about specifically because, like, for example, my pastor, Corey, the preaches at our church that I can't wait, we're going to see in a couple hours here, he's been to the Satanic Church. And Kronos, thank you so much.
Man, there was lightning right here.
$2 in says, I demand Bird of Camelot. Well, I need to know the number, Kronos. So, Bird, do you know which one is the one where you dub Excalibur? And I will put that on for Kronos. Anyway, Darren, so Corey actually went to the Church of Satan in Salem, Massachusetts. And they don't believe in any supernatural crap. They just believe that you should do what you want to do. First super chat of the day, Thomas Potts. Yeah, because we had a couple of donations, but that was the first super chat, true. It's the lack of skeptics or game gators' reaction to the silly Jack Thompson stuff about movies and making gun massacres just a symbol of how cowardly they are. Is the lack of the skeptics or gamer gators' reaction to the silly Jack Thompson stuff about games and movies making gun massacres just a symbol of how cowardly they are? Well, I don't think that, like, watching a movie that involves violence, playing a video game that involves violence is not going to suddenly make you a violent person. That being said, if you, garbage in, garbage out, if you're constantly obsessing over violence, you're constantly obsessing, like, this is why porn can be so insidiously destructive. You're constantly feeding yourself this stuff, then it does affect you over time. But it's your choice to do it, to obsess over whatever it is. It's not the existence of the media, right? So I don't think, for example, that porn is responsible, that like a porn star is responsible for breaking up Joe Schmo's marriage. However, Joe Schmo may not be able to perform as far as his marital duties because he's obsessed with porn. Purgatory negates the significance of what Christ did on the cross. The Catholic interpretation of purgatory, you're absolutely right. Game Gators went crazy over Anita Sarkeesian, but none will say anything about Trump's silly claim. Well, of course not. I tried to free Kuroga from Bird last night. My assassination failed. I saw that, Wesley. That was nice to see, but, that was after you attacked our base. Minus the delays and all the druggies in Seattle, was a nice trip. Well, that's good. And Seattle, yeah, I'll tell you, the Pacific Northwest has turned into a cesspool. I'm sorry. Or Meek, Korg's mate. That's true. The Korg's mate will inherit the earth. That's what it was. Birds, stop crying about lightning. He does not even live in the Midwest. That thunder sounds like 500-pound bombs going. Neo-Normie says, in Japanese culture, much like the Jedis, the ghost of the dad comes back usually around water to help the living, especially if it's a lost love. I didn't know that. That's weird. Let's see. Purgatory does no longer exist. Pope Benedict has abolished it. Are you being serious, WSI? Because if so, I didn't hear that Pope Benedict actually... That would be a radical change. If Pope Benedict actually said purgatory is no longer a thing, I'm impressed. But it's kind of strange. Why does the kelp not reduce size after it's getting in the pot? That's a very good question, and I'm not a cook, so I don't know. The Church of Satan isn't in Massachusetts, it's in California. Well, there are actually more than one church. This is Anton LaVey's church in Salem. Answer number 20. Thank you, my friend. But I know Anton LaVey was in California as well. But there's more than one Church of Satan.
Anal na trach, was betad, doch hiel dienle.
Ariel natris oris bazi bedhead duchel dementa. Yeah, I'm not gonna.
Thank you, Bird, for your insightful delivery of the spell, the charm of Macon. That's what it's called. So Darren says, porn and violent video games trick a young man's subconscious into thinking he's Genghis Khan. Well, but you see, I don't think it's the porn and the violent video games that do it. I think it's the person's obsession over said thing. So I think it's just like, for example, with alcohol, right? Alcohol in and of itself, there's nothing wrong with. You guys know that I occasionally partake even during these live streams, right? Especially if I'm watching Star Trek Discovery. However, then you have people that are alcoholics, and those people can't control it, and they get obsessed with the alcohol, and it becomes the most important thing in their lives, and it completely destroys them, right? Now, in a similar sense, porn or violent video games, or even for some people, R-rated movies or whatever, those can have those same type of effects. It depends on the individual. But it's not just the existence of violent video games that causes people. Columbine was not the result of a violent video game. Columbine would have probably happened even if Grand Theft Auto didn't exist. Anton LaVey didn't found the Satanic Church. Aleister Crowley did. Well, that's true. That's true. And their original headquarters was Hotel California, subject to the Eagles song. Yes, I do know about. I forgot to mention Aleister Crowley, but Anton LaVey didn't he write the Satanic Bible, or was it and I know Aleister Crowley, the Do What You Will is a quote from Aleister Crowley, but I think Anton LaVey actually wrote the Satanic Bible, if I remember correctly. Note how that dude's lips don't move in the super chat. Well, that's kind of weird. And let's see. I can't wait for Corgan Meek's wedding at Checker. That'll send people up the wall red-faced. Actually, here's the thing. I would argue it would not, Peter, because in Thor Ragnarok, Meek laid eggs. And if Meek laid eggs, that means Meek is female. I find it funny how many open witches live in Salem. But, that's technically true. And, in fact, our church does partners with a church in Salem, Massachusetts. And but the funny thing is that, again, to a lot of these people, it's all just a joke. Right. I would say there are very, very few people that actually believe in that stuff and do it. They do it because they know it pisses off Christians. They do it because they know that it's counterculture. They do it because they think it's cool. Now, there are some people that genuinely believe it, and that's fine, but whatever. What do you mean there's nothing wrong with alcohol? Alcohol is a poison. Okay, Darren. Well, in that case, I guess Jesus was handing out poison at that wedding, huh? And Cronus says, give me some spotted cow. Yeah, Darren's all into a spotted cow, but yeah. Well, technically, alcohol is toxic, and the toxic effects are what people like. Well, but the funny thing about alcohol is an interesting one, because alcohol in and of itself is actually encouraged in the Bible, not discouraged. What's discouraged is drunkenness, and there is a difference between having a drink and drunkenness. There's a difference between even having a few drinks and drunkenness. And drunkenness in the modern context is kind of what we would refer to as alcoholism. Everyone, make Antrick have a meltdown. It will help him. No, please. I love booze, Antrick, but my other PC is turning me into one today. I am pleased. I had a drink with lunch now and continued. Corona says, I'll never see Ragnarok the same way again. Well, it's true. Meek laid eggs in Ragnarok. So, and Korg even made a joke about it. He goes, hello? Are those eggs? Or did you, and I think those are eggs, so yeah, that's actually a thing. Talk to Native Americans who flip out after drinking one beer. Their bloodline was 0 tolerance for this stuff. Well, I don't have enough personal expert information on Native Americans and them flipping out after drinking one beer, because I've known Native Americans that could drink more than one beer. I've never seen someone flip out, except for Lore Reloaded, after one drink. Bortus lays eggs, and he is male, so there. Yeah, well, shut up. The Hillsborough disaster of 1989, a section of the stadium collapsed and the people were crushed. 96 fatalities, 766 injuries. It remains the worst disaster in British sporting history. Well, no, the worst disaster in British sporting history is that the Brits actually think football is soccer. But that's the second worst. I'm kidding, of course. But the I understand what you were saying about, people trying to get some. It's tough. And in the United States, something like that, the lawsuit would probably go against the people who built the stadium. Let's see. Meek laid eggs anti-trigger, but species can be both genders and go between sexes. Well, there's no evidence that meek switched genders or anything. Karoga is full of witches. They need to be punished. Well, Karoga is run by an evil dictator, and he needs to be executed. But that's, let's see. The Hillsborough disaster people are still taking people to court over this to this day to prosecute someone for this. I understand. What do witches do? Worship trees in black makeup? Well, I don't know. I'm not a witch, so I couldn't tell you. What about pot? Poison? Some people say yes. Some people say no. It's actually an interesting debate. As far as, it's trying to see what that was on my phone. Don't see anything specifically, so oh, it's just that the church went live. Okay. Is it? I don't know that the question would be poison. It's an intoxicant for sure. Now, and I don't know the answer to this. I'm not a doctor or anything, but my understanding is that unlike alcohol, if you ingest a lot of that particular substance, then while you may go a little loopy for a while, it's not. It would not kill you. It's not actually poisonous. So that's my understanding of it. Like with alcohol. People can drink to death. If you sit there and drink a huge bottle of vodka, it will kill you, right? However, my understanding is you can, ingest as much as the herbal supplements that are only available in certain states, and yeah, you might go completely Batwoman crazy for a few hours, but it will not kill you. That's my understanding. Now, I'm not an expert on it, so I would leave that to someone who was. Wasn't Meek dead at the end of Ragnarok? I got confused when he showed up in Endgame. No, he was not dead. He thought Korg was holding him. He was like, "Oh, Meek, oh, he's dead." And then Meek moved. He goes, "Oh, you're alive." So yeah, I'll have to look at Meek's egg clip anti-tracker. I missed that. Yes, it is definitely in there. Neo Normie says, "What is your favorite Keenism language of Brett Keane? My three favorites are Old Scotsman, No True Scotsman, Mind Quoting, and The Rind of Zodadong." I don't know. I haven't watched Brett King in a long time, Neo Normal, but I mean the No True Scotsman thing was annoying. He did quote mine a lot. I don't know what you mean by The Rind of Zodadong. Do you have a good vibe with the next Guardians of the Galaxy? Well, the problem is the next Guardians of the Galaxy is at least 2 or 3 years away, and yes and no. And the reason I say that is that I love the way the setup was at the end of Endgame. I like the idea, first of all, they need to leave Gamora dead. I hope they do. But, and I like the idea of Fat Thor being with them. However, Thor 4 comes out before Guardians of the Galaxy, which means that probably Thor will not be in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and that would be a real shame. I want to see Thor in Guardians 3. But I had a very good feeling for Guardians 3 at the end of Endgame. Just not as much after the announcement of Love and Thunder. And Dr. Alex is in the house. Good to see you. Only U.S. thinks football is something else. Not that I give a crap about football, of course. Let's see. And afternoon, anti-tracker. Afternoon, doctor. BIRDOPREY says, if you drink enough water, it will kill you too. Water is isn't poison. True. But alcohol is. I mean, but yes. Dr. X says, alcohol and tobacco would not be anywhere near legal by modern standards based on medical harm. I would say alcohol for sure. Tobacco, that's kind of iffy. But again, I think that tobacco in particular, and believe me, I'm not defending tobacco. I used to smoke, and it was a horrible thing, and I know that you shouldn't. There are plenty of medicinal or serious side effects of cigarette smoking that are bad for you, so don't do it. That being said, I think that the whole cigarettes cause cancer thing is an absolute lie, and I am so sick of that. Why? It is because cigarettes are a trigger of cancer. You already have the cancer genetic information in you, and the carcinogens of tobacco can trigger it and cause it. However, or trigger it, and it will develop in your body. But it does not cause cancer. Like a person who is perfectly healthy and then smokes is not going to suddenly get cancer. A person who already has a proclivity towards lung cancer will get it more, it will be more likely to get it if they smoke. So, yeah. My dad drank himself to death, answering on his death certificate. He couldn't handle him going, he was going blind. That sucks. Let's see. What about Taco Bell? Poison? Yes. But delicious poison. On an episode of Everyone Loves Raymond, Deborah has some drinks and then gets into her car and puts the key in the ignition, then falls asleep. Later, a policeman walks by and she gets arrested for drunk driving. I don't remember that particular episode, but I could see that. Wiccan pagans believe that trees hold the spirits of the dead. Well, good for them. As Guardians of the Galaxy, yes, I really wanted to see that. I can say that now that since I've finally seen the movie. Yes. Interesting. Massive amounts of THC can kill you from ingesting massive amounts of THC can kill you from respiratory failure. Okay, I did not know that. So I was under the impression that that wasn't really possible. But define massive amounts. Gamora will probably be in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I would prefer she did not come back too, but she is back through the time travel resurrection, and if she isn't in the film, people will whine. Not necessarily, Darren, and this is the thing. This is why I think that they should leave her dead. And I'm going strictly from in-universe established events, right? So, number one, when Tony Stark did the final snap, and basically won the war, right? Now, when he did that, he ashed every single individual that came through the time portal from 2014, I think it was. So, past Thanos, the Chitauri army, all of them gone, right? Now, we never see Gamora from that point to the end of the film. Which means that it is entirely possible that Gamora was snapped out of existence by Tony Stark because she was part of the invading force. Now, she may have redeemed herself by the end, but she was still a part of that invading force. So I would dare say that she went with the rest of them. On top of that, at the end of the film, when Star-Lord is at the computer on the ship, he is searching for her with no luck. Now, I don't know, because they've never been really clear on it, but I don't know what the extent of the scanning capabilities of the Guardian ship is, but they were right there. I mean, they were literally right there. They were maybe 100 yards from where they last saw her, and so you would think their scanners would be able to pick her up if she was still around. And since not only did Thanos and his army disappear, but Thanos' ships disappeared, all of his equipment disappeared, there was nothing there, which also means that Gamora would have no way to leave the planet. So, yeah. That's my thoughts on it. John Bottom from Led Zeppelin drank himself to death. I think the story is he drank a gallon's worth of alcohol. That's crazy, but yes. Eating a dozen Big Macs is poisonous. That's very true. You're contradicting yourself, Antrick, in regards of to tobacco. How so? I'm saying that there are other things that it does that are horrible, and I don't recommend it. I'm just saying that I think that the whole thing about it causing cancer is a lie. And I wish that the medical professionals would be more open and honest about stuff. In fact, there was this whole chart about the dangers of obesity. And I showed Mrs. Antrick, because we were at the doctor's office, and I was looking at this chart, and I was like, that is a flat out lie. And I could prove it just on the information in the chart. And so just simple statistical math. Because what they did was they tried to say that obesity is a contributing factor to, and then they throw all this crap in here, right? So they say like 80% of type 2 diabetes and 60% of whatever, right? But then it gets down to like at the bottom, and it would say like obesity contributes to like 15% of, I don't know, heart failure. I don't know what it was, but and the thing is, statistically, if 15% of heart failure victims are obese, then there is no correlation between obesity and heart failure. And in fact, you could argue the opposite, that if only 15% of people who suffer from heart failure are obese, and there are more than 15% of the population are obese, then obesity actually reduces your chances of it as opposed to increases. But if you look at this chart, you would swear that you're more likely to get anything because you're fat. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not encouraging people to be fat. I'm trying to lose weight myself. But at the same time, don't lie to me. You know, yes, being fat it causes obvious problems. Besides the superficial problems of being fat, it clearly makes it difficult on your joints. It clearly, there are certain things like diabetes. There is clearly a correlation between being obese and type 2 diabetes. But again, kind of like cigarettes, it just means if you have a tendency towards diabetes, being fat will increase the odds. But so being fat is not a healthy thing. But at the same time, don't try to say it does everything and that you're going to be perfect if you're not fat. And that's part of the reason that people obsess over being paper thin, which is just as unhealthy. Too much of anything, even love, isn't necessarily a good thing. Captain James C. Kirk. Yes, and I disagree with him on that line because I don't think that too much love is a bad thing. Neil Newman says, cricket is the only true English game along with rugby. Well, yeah, sure. Cricket is also the worst cell phone provider on the planet, so there's that. Gamora's in the deleted scene where everybody else kneeled after Tony's sacrifice. Well, but deleted scene, not canon. I'm just going by what's in the movie. And why was that scene deleted? Maybe because she was in it. Let's see. BIRDOPREY says, Doctor, you going to take this one? What? I'm not sure what you're talking about. THC doesn't cause respiratory failure. The smoke does. THC poisoning is possible, but that's almost impossible to adjust that much that quickly. See, that's kind of what I was thinking, but I don't know. Dr. Alex says, read my carcinogen comment. Let's see. Nope, the carcinogens can break your genes, literally snip them, causing them to malfunction. It's not all pre-existing sensitivity to the chemicals, mostly burnt complex hydrocarbons. Well, not being a person who knows all about gene therapy and that kind of thing, I can't comment on that one way or the other, doctor. Now, I know you're not a medical doctor, but I will take your word for it. So you agree that the medical health industry hasn't always been truthful with us, huh? Very interesting. Well, yeah, I agree with, not only that, I mean, heck, how many times have politicians lied to us? It's all political. And that's the thing that, it's like, why is it that, for example, right now I'm in a lot of pain and I can't get a prescription for painkillers. Why? Well, because it's popular right now to say that there's an opioid epidemic that's plaguing our country and destroying the nation. That's a bunch of crap, right? But for whatever reason, they won't prescribe painkillers right now. So I'm just out of luck. So, yeah. Chrono says, I'm fattening up very well. Well, good. I'm hope that you do well with that. BIRDOPREY is saying wow to something, not sure what. Oh, and of course, BIRDOPREY can say wow when he's sitting there on his live streams talking about his superpowers, but you know. My friends and I were discussing how horrible it would be for everyone being snapped back. Think about how the world's economy would have to change both before and after snaps. Oh, yeah. Oh,
Man, there was lightning right here.
And Kronos donated $2, says, hello, computer. Right? Hello, computer. Hello. Yeah. A mouse, how quaint. Or a keyboard, how quaint. Life causes cancer. Very true. Oxygen is a network that should actually be called estrogen. That's very true. My friends and I were discussing how horrible it would be for everyone being... Oh, I already read that. Hector says, Dr. Alex has studied a lot of statistics and his head is hanging right now. I'm sure it is. But you know what? I haven't studied it, so I plead ignorance, and that's fine. And let's see. Doc Anti-Trekker in the house. I am certainly nobody's doctor, and I do not offer medical advice because you would probably be dead. And let's see. I thought American topwater turns frogs gay. That apparently is a thing. Let's see. Dr. Alex says, I would never claim to be perfect just because I'm not fat. Good, Dr. Alex. Good, because you're definitely not perfect. So you're saying people overweight have a reduced chance of heart disease? No, Bird, were you not listening to me? I said I couldn't remember what it was on the chart, but it was something that was like about 15% of whatever the thing was is correlated with obesity. But if only 15% of people that suffer from condition X are obese, and I think it's something like the legal classification is something like 58% of Americans are obese. So that means that you're less likely to have that if you're obese than if you're not. The reason the Avengers taking a knee scene was deleted was because it was because it as cringe. Well, I don't know. I haven't seen the scene, but yeah. Too much love ruins the tennis game. Well, that's not the love that Kirk was talking about. Thomas says, what kind of base is this? What kind of base is this? I have no idea what that sentence is trying to say, Thomas. R.I.P. my sanity. Well, DJ, you've never been really sane. Carlos says, Andrew, I know I'm special. May I please say see UBERCHAT #1? You can, and that's how we're going to finish up because I do need to get ready for church. We're leaving in less than an hour. Mrs. Antrekker just texted me to remind me. So we'll play UBERCHAT #1 and then wrap it up, guys.
This is CNN.
Enough about politics. I'm hot. I'm gonna dance for you.
There it is. Thomas says, I'm on Space Engineers. Oh, okay. So you're in Space Engineers and you're asking about, are you at our new base? So let me see here. So if we go into Space Engineers here, that's Thomas running around. But yeah, so... nice one, Andrew. Take it easy after church. Absolutely. AOC rocks. Sure. She's, yeah. Oh, wait, I've seen this. RIP AOC. So, yeah, so, but I was going to say, so let me show you real quick, Thomas. So, yeah, this is the new base. We're still, dealing with some stuff here, and so we have the the still under construction Goliath here. You can see it actually has a beacon on it now. It says Goliath. We have the Chris's Pack Rat, which is a beautiful, look at this thing. This is a beautiful mining ship that Chris has built. So, yeah, we're definitely going large here. And so, Thomas, welcome to New Turtistan. And so, yeah, that's about it. Church on Sunday, what's wrong with you? Well, we do that every now and then. So, you know, I know it's kind of crazy. We usually go to church on Saturday, of course, but this week we're going on Sunday. All right. With that, oh, that's funny. So it's like showing the live stream up there in the corner. Didn't even realize that. All right, guys. So I am going to wrap it up there. You guys have a good one and take care. And maybe if I can, I'll do a Space Engineer stream this afternoon or something. All right, guys. Have a good one.